Hey guys, Mark Smith from JBS Training Group, getting out here to finally make this video about the Sons of Liberty Gunworks Sage Dynamics Edition 12.5 AR-15 and the Hodge Defense Systems 12.5-inch AR-15. So I know this has been long awaited. I apologize first and foremost that I didn't get this video out sooner. I've been working, been going every weekend for like 6 weeks, and got to spend some time at home when I'm home. So without further ado, I want to preface this by saying this is not a this manufacturer versus this manufacturer thing. I think both of these guys put out some solid freaking product, and I think that 99.9% of shooters would be well versed with either. It's not going to matter, right? But I get this question about Sons versus Hodge. What would you pick? And I want to dive a little deeper in it than just that face value question. So this is going to be a video on who are you, what is your level of participation in the shooting arena, and which one should you consider, and which one outweighs in this category or this category, and we're going to kind of compare and contrast. So that's what it's going to be. So I hope you're down with that. So the first thing we need to talk about when we talk about these guns is the setup, right? Because I know that some of you out there are going to say, oh, well, you had a Magpul stock on that one and you had a Viltor stock on the other one. So I want to preface it by saying I set these things up as close to similar as I could for multiple things. I even used the same lower. Both of them are running the same A5 system, Recoil system, same A5 H2 buffer. They were both suppressed with mini cans. The Sons gun had a Dead Air Sandman K. The Hodge gun had my old Surefire Mini that I've used forever. The Sons gun, I don't know exactly how many rounds it had on it because it wasn't mine. It was a good buddy of mine that let me borrow it for this kind of thing. I'm comfortable though saying that it had less than 2,000 rounds on it just by the way it looked, and because I know this guy, he doesn't like shoot a ton of rounds, but he is a shooter, and he's also got a really nice collection. So I said, hey, let me snag that thing. So it's a fairly new gun. The old Hodge girl of mine is it's over 20,000 rounds. It's the original Hodge, the first ever Hodge barrel I got, which was about 4 years ago. So it has seen some work. And so that leads me into the next thing. I want to caveat all this by saying I shoot for Hodge, right? So, but I promise you I'm going to do this as unbiased as I possibly can. But I got to get that out of the way because some of you would say that too. So guns are basically set up the same, different triggers, different safeties, things like that. Both of them were running loophole LCOs. I mean, it was pretty apples to apples. So the first thing we need to talk about is accuracy. What kind of accuracy potential can I expect to gain out of each one of these guns? And I found some interesting results. So I'll play those for you now so you can see for yourself. I'll throw those pictures up. So the Sons gun seemed to be super accurate with the ammo that it liked, right? So with Mark 262, I was able to produce the group you see here, which, I'm not the greatest group shooter in the world. This was at 50 yards. I was in a hurry to bang this out, but it's a good representation of what you can expect on any given day with any given shooter with good ammo. So right about 1 MOA, maybe a touch over. Those tape lines that you see are 1 inch wide. The Hodge gun, well, let me say the next accuracy test that I did was with just some standard PMC 55 grain 5.56 ammo, and you can see here it didn't really like that all that much. Interestingly enough, the Hodge gun did really great with Mark 262. I must mention that barrel is made for Mark 262 and M855A1. That was the parameters when that's the ammo that it shoots most often because of the contracts issued and all that kind of stuff. So not surprising that ammo shoots really well out of it. So that's the group for the Hodge with the same Mark 262 ammo, same lot, same everything. Then the next group here is the PMC 55 grain. So you can see that while the Sons gun shoots really well with good ammo that it likes, the Hodge gun tends to do better with any ammo across the board. It's going to produce a better result than most guns with any ammo across the board. So that's what I got on that. I've also tested, a couple of different ammos. Wolf Gold, my Hodge guns will absolutely put Wolf Gold into a 1 MOA block at 100 yards. So it's a really great barrel that produces really good accuracy. However, the Sun's gun, man, that's acceptable accuracy for most people, right? I mean, people that are doing most, rifle stuff, coppers, mildews, average citizen shooters on the weekend, they're not running these things out on 1 MOA targets at 400 yards, right? So that accuracy that the Sun's gun displayed is absolutely acceptable for a general purpose gun, in my opinion. So that's what I got on. All right, so the next part of this is going to be how fast the barrels move, right? Meaning, what is my foot per second average out of both of the barrels? Same barrel lengths, same mini cans on the end of them, same ammo. What gives me the fastest results? So here is the Sons of Liberty testing on what is the velocity out of the gun. All right, so this is velocity tracking with the Sons of Liberty M76 12.5 Sage Dynamics Edition. We got a Dead Air Sandman K on here running PMC X-Tac 55 grain. So we'll shoot 5 and see if we can get an average on what it's doing. All right, cool. So it got all 5 of them, averaged 27.33 with a standard deviation. Of course, that doesn't matter about the guns, 41 feet per second. So good to go, pretty quick. All right, and that was 55 grain PMC, 5.56 loading. This is the Hodge gun, same ammo, same place, same temperature, same everything. All right, so let's try it with the Hodge 12.5 Surefire mini can, same ammo, PMC X-Tac 55 grain. See what we can do. All right, that one's at 28.36 average. So that's 100 feet per second faster with the same barrel length. So something to be noted for sure. That's not uncommon with Hodge barrels. I've noticed that in all of my Hodge guns, they are faster than their same length counterparts in other manufacturers' barrels. It's just got a lot to do with the way Hodge does their bores and stuff. So anyway, cool. So, like we say, the Hodge gun was definitely around 100 feet, 100 feet plus or minus faster than the Sun's gun. Now, this is not, as stated, this is not surprising to me. This has been what I have found across the board with all of my Hodge guns. Man, they just move bullets faster. This has to do with the bore design and the proprietary stuff that goes into how Hodge is making that barrel, and then some of the things that they're doing to speed it up a little bit. It's really, really cool. So we get 12.5-inch guns that are often, if not always, running faster than other manufacturers' 14.5-inch guns. So that's a really neat thing to have. Now, does that plus or minus 100 feet per second, 110 feet per second, does that matter to you? Well, I don't know, man. What are you doing with the gun, right? If you're taking a 12.5-inch gun, you're wanting to run it out to 600 yards, then yes, it absolutely comes into play. I want all the velocity I can possibly get, so that's a thing for me. If you're not that guy and you're the 100-yard and in guy, you're never going to notice the difference anyway. So who cares? That's my thoughts on feet per second, and does it matter to you? All right, so the last part is the smoothness of operation, right? How smooth does the gun recoil? Or is it sharp? Is it a nice clean impulse? What do I get? Well, the only way I've ever really figured out to test that, good old boy style, without having a bunch of machines doing it for me, is to, from the same place with the same target, see how quickly I can shoot the target over and over and over. And what that does is it displays to me how much the dot is moving. So if I've got a gun where the dot flies off the target, I've got to resettle that before I can shoot. If I've got a dot that just kind of has a little seizure on the target, that's great. I can just pop, 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 pop. So I wanted to set up the same target, same size, same distance away from it, and shoot it with both guns. I put them on the same lower so that nobody would gripe about that. Same recoil system, same everything, and see what did I find on split times, right? How quickly could I get another shot off with the Sons gun and the Hodge gun. So this is what I found on that. All right, this is the Sons of Liberty 12.5 split time tracking. All right, 4.5, 3.9, 4.1, 3.9, 4.0, 3.8, 3.9, 3.7, 3.9. So, good to go. All right, so split time tracking with the Hodge gun, same thing. All right, 3.7, 3.3, 3.4, 3.3, 3.3, 3.2, 3.3, 3.1, 3.4. So, low threes. All right, so that's kind of the end of the actual testing that I did. I've never been a guy that gets real deep in the numbers and stuff like that, man. So that was kind of the extent of what I was willing to do, basically. But let's talk about pros and cons real quick. So the Sons gun, the Sage Dynamics Edition, which is the one I had, comes with a Roscoe barrel. The Roscoe barrel, I believe, is a button rifle barrel, and it may be melanited, not sure. But no cold hammer fours, no chrome line. So the Hodge barrel is a cold hammer fours chrome line barrel made by FN to Hodge specs. It ran around 100 feet per second faster, and it has 20,000 rounds on it, and is still producing better groupings across different ammo types. Most of the time with a button rifle barrel, you're going to see around 25,000 round, 20 to 25,000 round count life before those groups start opening up to just unacceptable. Or you start keyholing, getting weird stuff like that. I'm not saying that that's what the Sons of Liberty gun's going to do, because I hadn't ran one to that extent. They can probably tell you what their guns are going to do, because I know that they test them to that extent. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, just saying I don't know what's going to happen, but that's what normally happens. With the Hodge barrel, we're running over 20,000 rounds at this point, still getting great grouping, still faster, and it's just going to hold up longer if you're the guy that needs it, right? So those barrels have a 40,000 round count life. I cannot think of many people off the top of my head. I could probably name 5 at the most that could benefit from a barrel that can run like that. So does that matter to you? Well, I don't know. Does it? Because most people are not shooting more than 1,000 rounds a year, and that's not a knock at those guys. It's just it is what it is. Most people aren't doing that. So that's a thing to consider when you consider, do I care about the barrel or do I not? Now, the next thing, both of these guns had handguards on them that are really solid. Now, the wedge lock handguard that's on the Sons of Liberty Sage gun is a design of Hodge, and the Sons wedge lock is 6065, 6061 aluminum. Now, does that matter? Well, I don't know, because the wedge lock that you can get with a Hodge gun is going to be a 7075. Now, 7075 is going to be stronger, just on paper, right? It's a stronger material. It's going to have less deflection. It's going to be a little more robust if you were the guy that's just beating on guns, right? Or maybe you got a laser system that is like really important, that needs to maintain zero. You know, I want the best if that's the case. So therefore, the Hodge rail is going to win in that aspect. But the Sons braille, man, I ain't never seen nobody break one. I ain't never seen nobody complain about one. I don't think it's that big of a deal for me. Now that being said, if you are the guy that's running lasers, that's really interested in these things taking a hit and keeping on kicking, yeah, I want the best of anything I can get, obviously. But most of us are not, right? We're not those guys. So it doesn't matter. Up to you. So the next thing, both of them, and this was super pleasing to me. Both of them are ported really well. So you saw in the videos where we were tracking split times and just smooth as a recoil, you notice they were neck and neck. Man, we're talking about a 1/10 of a second difference on average. That comes from properly gassing and springing a gun the right way. I wish more manufacturers would take note of that. There's all kind of reasons why they open their ports up to these big giant, gas ports, and we won't get into all that. But great ported guns, man. Both of them running nice, tight ports that are giving that thing just enough gas without over gassing. It's just great. I'm thrilled to death about that. What else? So we get into the build quality. Now, the problem with the compare and contrast of this is that I built my gun, okay? Mr. Jim did not build my gun, but he does build guns, and when he does, they are perfectly assembled. Roll pin, slots facing the same way, everything. It's very particular how he does that. So the build quality is great. However, the Sons of Liberty gun, dude, that thing fit together as perfect as it can possibly fit. Now, I understand there's tolerances, right? And we take 100 Sons of Liberty guns and fitments, that some of them are going to be different, right? And that's fine. But the one I got, which is the only one I can speak of, sample size of 1, was freaking superb. You could take the rifle, set it on the rifle stand, pop the upper or the pivot and takedown pin out, and the upper would just sit in the lower, like you had to physically remove it. The lugs this is a perfect fit. Staking was outstanding on the castle nut, the receiver extension. Staking in 3 spots and good looking staking. The fit on the roll pins that they had installed was perfect. It was not over protruding one side or the other. I mean, everything was just, you could tell that a craftsman put that gun together. And that was really, that made me happy to see that. I'm down with that. The Sons gun really felt like you could take it and just chunk it across a gravel parking lot, and it's going to keep going no matter how many times you do it. I mean, it's a really robust gun. The Hodge, on the other hand, is exactly the same, right? It's exactly the same. Really well built, really good materials, really good fitment, really good tolerances. Great. So neck and neck on that. Pick your favorite flavor. And so in closing, we've talked about speed, accuracy, we've talked about the smoothness of operation, the materials, the barrels, all that build quality, all that different stuff. So then we get to, well, which one do you want? Well, man, I think for the vast majority of people, a Sons of Liberty gun is going to do everything they ever ask it to do, man. I really do believe that, and I think it's going to do it better than 99% of the other manufacturers out there that are putting out stuff that is subpar to that level. However, if you like the finer things in life, right, and for whatever reason, you want a barrel that runs faster than everybody else's, and you ain't really got no reason why. It's just an intrinsic thing. Well, that's value added sometimes, right? So if a cold hammer forged chrome line barrel makes you sleep better at night, then it's got value to it, right? Buy it if that's the way you feel. But I think that for most people, they will rarely get the squeeze out of a Hodge gun that it'll give them. The first time I ever really got to talking to Hodge about his guns, he told me, he said, a lot of people are making really good bourbon, man, really good bourbon. All I'm trying to do is make small batch pappies, right? Like the finest that you can get, and do most people need it or want it or can afford it? No, but he wants to make it the best it can be, and I truly believe that that's what he's done. I think that if you want the AR platform in its pinnacle conventional state, that the Hodge can't be beat. But I just want to make sure that guys that are losing sleep at night over not being able to find one, that's another thing. Like you can't just go buy a Hodge. You can't. Like, go ahead, I'll wait. Right. So you're not going to be able to find parts easily. You're not going to be able to find full guns easily, and it's a hard thing to go by because it's small batch stuff, man. He's not putting out tons of guns all the time. And that adds a little bit of value in and of itself, right? A little sentimental value, intrinsic value, whatever. I looked for a year to get this stuff, and I finally got it. There's that kind of thing going on. If you're impatient, you don't want to do that, you don't want to wait, go buy you a Sons gun, man. Those things are rock solid. I am truly, truly impressed with what I saw, which is not common in ARs these days. Other than that, man, I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide what you want. I think that both of those dudes, I'm friends with a lot of dudes over at Sons. I shoot for Hodge. I dig both of their companies and what they're doing, and I think the majority of people would be very well served with either, right? And I don't think we need to be getting into this who's better, who's worse. It's what fits you, man. What fits you, and what do you need? So that's what I got on it, man. Another quick thing to add before I close this out. There's this thing going around where people tend to think that because somebody makes their parts in-house, they are therefore better. than everybody else's, and I this has nothing to do with the video. Well, it kind of does, but I just want to point out that these are two of the highest tier manufacturers in the industry, right? Their guns are perfect in almost every way, and they source their components from other people. So maybe that theory isn't so true. Maybe you can tell somebody who makes something really, really good the way you want them to make it, and they'll make it the way you want it really, really good. So that's a thing, right? So anyway, don't get sucked into the internet crap like that. Other than that, guys, appreciate the heck out of it. Thanks for being patient with me. And that's what I got. So see y'all later. jbstraininggroup.com.